Hey everyone, I'm Bethany for Garden Design, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of the most beautiful flowering plants and one of my favorites, hydrangeas. Now, did you know you can actually grow hydrangeas in containers? And it's pretty easy. So today I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, the first thing you're going to want to think about is hydrangea selection. So first, make sure that you know your growing zone, because if you're going to overwinter your hydrangeas outdoors in the pots over winter, you want to make sure you're at least 2 zones below your current growing zone. The roots are going to be much more exposed to the cold in winter in a pot versus in ground. So if you're not going to offer them any protection like in a garage or a shed, make sure you're going at least 2 zones below your current zone. The next thing you're going to want to consider is size. So make sure you're looking at the mature size of your hydrangea on the tag. Some can get quite large and some will stay more compact. So make sure you're finding the right size for your space, and also that you'll know what size container you'll want to use. A few of my favorite more compact hydrangea varieties are Wee Bit Grumpy, which will only get to about 2 feet in height at mature size, and the other one is Invincibelle Wee White, which will get to between 1 to 2.5 feet tall. Something else to consider is that oak leaf hydrangeas don't do very well in pots, so those are best suited for in-ground planting. After you've selected your hydrangea, the next step is to find the right container. So I recommend a container that's at least 18 inches in diameter. This one is 18 inches square because hydrangeas have a very deep root system. So you want to make sure there's enough space to accommodate for that. You also want to make sure there are definitely drainage holes in any containers that you're going to plant in. The next step then is to fill your pot with good quality potting soil that will feed your hydrangea throughout the season. You also want to make sure that it's something that's going to retain moisture but also be well draining. And you can add in slow release fertilizer or compost along with your potting soil. So now let's go ahead and plant up our hydrangea. We're going to remove the hydrangea from the original container, and if it looks like it's root bound, we'll go ahead and break up some of the roots before potting it up into the container. And actually, root system doesn't look too root bound, so we'll go ahead and put it into the pot. The hydrangea is in the pot, so next step is to fill around the root ball with potting soil, and you want to make sure to leave a little bit of space at the top so that you can water your hydrangea. Make sure to water your hydrangea after planting, and if any of the soil settles, you can always add more at this point. The next step is to decide where to place your hydrangea, and hydrangeas in general prefer to have morning sun, but protection from the more intense afternoon sun. You also can put them in a location that has dappled light throughout the day, but the most important thing is to check the tag for the hydrangea that you're planting and see what the sun requirements are. Now let's go over some maintenance tips for potted hydrangeas. Hydrangeas need consistent watering, especially when they're in containers where the pots will dry up much faster than if the hydrangea was planted in the ground. So a good tip is to water deeply when the first inch of soil is dry. You don't want to overwater because that can lead to root rot. The next tip is to fertilize your hydrangea. So again, plants in pots are going to use up nutrients faster than in the ground because the nutrients will wash away. So you want to use an all-purpose water-soluble fertilizer about every 2 weeks in the spring and summer to make sure that your plant stays healthy and continues to bloom. Next is when and how to prune your hydrangea, and that is going to completely depend on the type of hydrangea that you've selected. Smooth and panicle hydrangeas bloom on new wood, which means they can be pruned back in either late winter or early spring. Big leaf and mountain hydrangeas bloom on old wood, so they should only be cut back in late summer after they're done blooming. Reblooming hydrangeas bloom on both old and new wood, so they actually don't need any pruning at all, but you can do some maintenance like deadheading, removing damaged or diseased branches, or just some light shaping. By following these planting and maintenance tips, you can have beautiful hydrangeas in containers all over your garden. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to check out the description below for more links on how to grow hydrangeas in pots.